Item 610. Roadway illumination assemblies. 1. Description. Installation. Furnish, fabricate, and install roadway illumination assemblies. Relocation. Remove and relocate existing roadway illumination assemblies. Removal. Remove existing roadway illumination assemblies. Replace luminaires, light fixtures. Remove and replace existing luminaires. 2. Materials. Provide new materials that comply with the details shown on the plans, the requirements of this item, and the pertinent requirements of the following items. Item 416, drilled shaft foundations. Item 421, hydraulic cement concrete. Item 441, steel structures. Item 442, metal for structures. Item 445, galvanizing. Item 449, anchor bolts. Item 616, performance testing of lighting systems. Item 618, conduit. Item 620, electrical conductors. Fabrication plants that produce roadway illumination poles, including luminaire arms, must be approved in accordance with DMS 7380, Steel Non-Bridge Member Fabrication Plant Qualification. This includes fabricators of aluminum roadway illumination poles and luminaire arms. The Construction Division maintains a list of approved fabrication plants of roadway illumination poles. Furnish light fixtures from new materials that are in accordance with DMS 11010, roadway illumination light fixtures. Provide pre-qualified light fixtures from the department's MPL. When required by the engineer, notify the department in writing of selected materials from the MPL intended for use on each project. Do not provide shop drawings for complete assemblies that are fabricated in accordance with this item and the details shown on the plans. Electronically submit shop drawings in accordance with item 441, steel structures, for optional multi-sided steel pole designs, optional aluminum pole designs, and non-standard designs, required when basic wind speeds or pole base mounting heights at the installation locations are in excess of those shown on the roadway illumination pole, RIP, standard. Manufacturers may request that the department add their submitted shop drawings and design calculations to a pre-approved list of optional and non-standard pole designs, maintained by the Traffic Operations Division. Hot dip galvanize fabricated pole sections and associated parts in accordance with item 445, galvanizing. Punch or drill holes in steel parts or members, when allowed, before galvanizing. When shown on the plans, paint poles in accordance with the plans for uncoated structures and in accordance with item 445, galvanizing for galvanized structures. 3. Construction. Perform work in accordance with the details shown on the plans and the requirements of this item. Permanently mark roadway illumination pole base plates, at a visible location when erected, with the fabrication plant's insignia or trademark. Sample fixtures for testing in accordance with TEX 1110T. Use established industry and utility safety practices when installing, relocating, or removing poles or luminaires located near overhead or underground utilities. Consult with the appropriate utility company before beginning work. Prevent scarring or marring of the poles, luminaire arms, and luminaires. Replace damaged components. Repair damaged galvanizing in accordance with section 445.3.5, repairs. Repair damaged painted areas of a roadway illumination assembly in accordance with item 441, steel structures or item 445, galvanizing. Stake, install, and align each roadway illumination assembly as shown on the plans. The engineer may shift an assembly's location, if necessary, to secure a more desirable location or avoid conflict with utilities. Construct foundations for roadway illumination assemblies in accordance with item 416, drilled shaft foundations, and the details shown on the plans. 3.1 Installation. Furnish and install roadway illumination assembly components in accordance with the details, dimensions, and requirements shown on the plans. Do not use screw-in type foundations. Install anchor bolts and coat anchor bolt threads in accordance with item 449, anchor bolts. Erect structures after foundation concrete has attained its design strength as required on the plans and item 421, hydraulic cement concrete. Tighten anchor bolts for poles with shoe bases and concrete traffic barrier base poles in accordance with item 449, anchor bolts. Do not place grout between base plate and foundation. Test installed roadway illumination assemblies in accordance with item 616, performance testing of lighting systems. 3.2 Relocation. Relocate roadway illumination assembly components in accordance with the details, dimensions, and requirements shown on the plans. Do not use screw-in type foundations. Install existing structures on new foundations in accordance with section 610.3.1, installation. Do not place grout between base plate and foundation. Test installed roadway illumination assemblies in accordance with item 616, performance testing of lighting systems. Disconnect and remove conductors from abandoned circuits. Remove abandoned conduit or ducts to a point 6 inches below final grade. Reconnect conduit and ducts to be reused. Replace damaged conduit and ducts. Replace conductors. Unless otherwise shown on the plans, remove abandoned concrete foundations and replace surfacing in accordance with section 610.3.3, removal. Do not remove existing concrete bridge lighting brackets. Furnish and install new internal conductors, fused and unfused connectors, and lamps. Furnish and install new transformer bases that meet TxDOT and plan requirements when relocating transformer base poles. Destroy existing transformer bases to prevent reuse. Accept ownership of unsalvageable materials and dispose of in accordance with federal, state, and local regulations. 3.3 Removal. Remove roadway illumination assembly components in accordance with established industry and utility safety practices. Remove transformer bases from transformer base poles. Destroy removed transformer bases to prevent reuse. Remove luminaires and luminaire arms from the pole shaft. Stockpile pole shafts, luminaire arms, and assembly hardware at a location designated by the department. Pole shafts, luminaire arms, and assembly hardware will remain department property unless otherwise shown on the plans or as directed. Disconnect and remove conductors from abandoned circuits. Remove abandoned conduit and ducts to a point 6 inches below final grade. Unless otherwise shown on the plans, remove abandoned concrete foundations, including steel, to a point 2 feet below final grade. Backfill the hole with material that is equal in composition and density to the surrounding area. Replace surfacing material with similar material to an equivalent condition. Do not remove existing concrete bridge lighting brackets. Accept ownership of unsalvageable materials and dispose of in accordance with federal, state, and local regulations. 3.4 Replace luminaires. Remove existing luminaires. Furnish and install luminaires in accordance with the details, dimensions, and requirements shown on the plans. Test installed luminaires in accordance with item 616, performance testing of lighting systems. For measurement. This item will be measured as each roadway illumination assembly installed, relocated, or removed, or by each luminaire replaced. 5. Payment. The work performed and materials furnished in accordance with this item and measured as provided under measurement will be paid for at the unit price bid for install roadway illumination assemblies of the type specified, relocate roadway illumination assemblies of the type specified, remove roadway illumination assemblies of the type specified, or replace luminaires of the type specified. The department will pay for electrical energy consumed by the lighting system. New drilled shaft foundations will be paid for under item 416, drilled shaft foundations. New concrete riprap placed around foundations will be paid for under item 432, riprap. New conduit will be paid for under item 618, conduit. New conductors, except the conductors internal to the pole, will be paid for under item 620, electrical conductors. New duct cable will be paid for under item 622, duct cable. New ground boxes will be paid for under item 624, ground boxes. New electrical services will be paid for under item 628, electrical services. 5.1 Installation. This price is full compensation for furnishing, installing, and testing luminaires, furnishing and installing lamps, luminaire arms, brackets, poles, anchor bolt assemblies, templates, internal conductors and connections, conducting system performance testing, and materials, equipment, labor, tools, and incidentals. 5.2 Relocation. This price is full compensation for salvaging and relocating the existing conduit and duct, removing existing foundations, backfilling, and surface placement, removing, erecting, connecting, and testing illumination assemblies, removing existing conductors, furnishing and installing new anchor bolt assemblies, templates, transformer bases, lamps, connections, and conductors, replacing damaged components, disposing of unsalvageable materials, and materials, equipment, labor, tools, and incidentals. 5.3 Removal. This price is full compensation for removing, salvaging, disassembling, and stockpiling illumination assemblies, salvaging and relocating existing conduit, removing existing foundations, backfilling and surface placement, splicing existing conductors, disposing of unsalvageable materials, and materials, equipment, labor, tools, and incidentals. 5.4 Replace luminaires. This price is full compensation for removing, salvaging, disassembling, and stockpiling existing luminaires, furnishing and installing new luminaires, connections, and conductors internal to the pole, replacing damaged components, disposing of unsalvageable materials, and materials, equipment, labor, tools, and incidentals.